Well, let's do prime business now. And the Securities and Exchange Commission has assured it will not compromise on its mandate of ensuring maximum investor protection in the capital market. According to the Acting Director General of the SEC, Dr. James Kluche-Aveji, this is very important to boost investor confidence in the market. Dr. Aveji was speaking at a short ceremony at the Ghana Stock Exchange to admit the commercial paper of Federated Commodities Limited into the Ghana fixed income market, the first company to be on the market since its establishment by the stock exchange.
Fixed income market was launched in 2024 to provide short-term financing alternatives for businesses with strong fundamentals and a clear operational track record. Although investor confidence has returned onto the capital market, the Securities and Exchange Commission is assuring of more collaborative efforts to protect the market. Here is Dr. James Aveji, Acting Director General of the Exchange.
As an alternative avenue for raising financing for their business, imposing sanctions against non-compliance to remove fraudulent actors from the market, serve as a deterrent to potential violators, and help to uphold the standard of the marketplace. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the SEC is committed to collaborating with the Ghana Stock Exchange, market intermediaries, and issuers to ensure that necessary frameworks are established for the growth and development of the fixed income market.
Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abinamwa, used the occasion to call on many corporate firms to consider using the market to raise funds in a more comfortable manner as compared to other means.
That the Ghana Stock Exchange is a viable platform. It's a viable alternative to some of the opportunities or some of your usual way of doing businesses. Federated Commodities came to the market with their bankers, First Atlantic Bank and First Atlantic Stockbrokers. Talk to your bankers to do the things that Federated Commodities bankers have done for them today, that the GSC facilitates, that Stanbic, that GCB Bank and other banks are doing for their clients, bringing them to the GSC. So we work with them to make sure that they have access to other forms of investors and work with them for a lower financing rate and a more sustainable way of doing business and growing.
After a successful admission, Managing Director of Federated Commodities, Maria Adamu Zibo, disclosed that the funds raised will be used to increase the company's capital and support in buying more beans during the major cocoa season.
So at the end of the day, we are looking at how to blend the facilities we have, and then going forward also looking at how to increase, because as we go forward next year, for instance, there will be much higher need for increased capital, and then so this is only the beginning. And as we said, the 72 million we've taken, definitely we have to pay it back in August, and we don't have any problem with that. We are on course and we'll do that, inshallah.
Federated Commodities is a licensed cocoa buying company in Ghana.
Well, the Ghana Association of Forex Bureau is calling on the Bank of Ghana to revisit some of the current regulatory guidelines governing their operations. President of the association, Dr. Alex Akpabli, is asking the central bank to introduce more flexibility to allow Forex bureaus to expand their services and leverage technology for more efficient and suitable transactions. Dr. Akpabli spoke with Joy Business James Ishan.
Through moral suasion, if banks or the Bank of Ghana comes to say that, listen, from going forward, we'll be supporting the Forex Bureau with, interventions. That in itself, the public or these black marketeers know that bureaus will be getting money, and therefore they'll come down. Their rates will come down. Okay,
yeah,
and even the activities will come down because they would even want to rather come to us, than
doing their own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But still on the Bank of Ghana bit, how is your relationship with the Bank of Ghana?
Well, I must say that, it has been cordial. It has been cordial, but we've put so many proposals across which have not been considered. So I pray that maybe this time, going forward, we'll revisit those proposals with the new governor and see how best, they will listen to us and how best maybe they'll buy into it.
Can you share with us some of these proposals that have been presented to the Bank of Ghana?
Oh, again, you see, like we are talking about, we have been caged for several years now only to buy and sell foreign currency. And we think that going forward, there must be some additional activities, additional services, to our only buying and selling. And again, like I said earlier, the world is changing now. Now, the digital transactions, forex transactions is what is, people comes, from the UK, the US, from the diaspora, and they have their money on their phones, on apps, and they transact businesses through websites 24/7, and so we must change. We must change from the old way of doing forex operations. So yes, we'll put some of these things before them.
Manager of Macroeconomic Research at GCB Bank, Courage Botti, has advised the government not to rely solely on gold buying to address the country's foreign exchange challenges. He emphasized the need for Ghana to channel resources into value addition of its raw materials. His comments come on the back of Ghana exceeding its International Monetary Fund target ahead of the May 2026 deadline.
It's about, now there is a bit of a structure to it. We know the Global Act has been passed. The appointments going there should be competent people who understand the sector and in the industry and should be able to deploy the best of resources available to us to accumulate more gold. But gold buying should not be the only way we solve our FX problem. We should use it as a launch pad to do other things. Some of the structural issues in our trade dynamics, really. We are still largely a raw material exporting economy. If you stabilize your FX environment, you stabilize inflation, which is linked, and then growth is robust, and your economy begins to look attractive. You deal with your debt issues, which are the troubles we are solving now, to be able to attract investments into the other priority sectors you intend to develop. So, for instance, would the next level be expanding the gold refinery capacity in Ghana? Would the next level be increasing our share of ownership in oil? Would the next level be refining cocoa, a chunk of it locally, to derive the full value so that we can gain more from an export, and then we can own more of the share of export receipts that come to the local economy? Because all of the 15+ billion in total export receipts that you get, if you disaggregate it, the portion that belongs to the economy is not significant. The gold arrangement is making sure that we own a good part of that, at least the small scale segment of that gold export. Let's try to replicate that for the other sectors, but you will do so if your environment is predictable, stable, and can attract foreign investment into, or patient capital into some of these sectors so that we can expand our scope. I think those are the next levels we should be thinking of, and not rely on gold for reserve alone or gold board alone as the panacea to our CD problem.
Well, away from that, the World Trade Organization has downplayed the impact of recent global tariff increases on Ghana and other African nations. Earlier this month, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a series of tariffs on import, including a 10% tax hike on Ghana. Director General of the World Trade Organization, Ngozi Ngonjo-Iweala, has said the issue, has been speaking about the issue during a news conference in Geneva, Switzerland.
The aggregate level, Africa's economic outlook remains broadly stable under current trade policies, with real GDP growth for the continent largely unchanged, even if reciprocal tariffs are reinstated. This is because Africa's trade with the U.S. is relatively small. The share of Africa's exports to the U.S. as a percentage of its total exports to the world is about 6.5%. And the share of Africa's imports from the U.S. as a share of its total imports is also about 4.4%. Nevertheless, this masks significant variation across countries. Some countries like Lesotho are particularly vulnerable due to their high reliance on textile exports to the U.S. market. These exports are about $240 million, or 10% of Lesotho's GDP. Côte d'Ivoire is another example, the largest cocoa producer in the world with about $800 million in exports to the U.S. Cocoa is a crop that is not grown in the United States. With higher reciprocal tariffs than Ghana, this can render Côte d'Ivoire's cocoa vulnerable to smuggling to neighboring Ghana, an unintended consequence. Africa is the future of global demand. By 2050, 25% of the world's population will be in Africa. Whilst the present trade situation is being sorted out, including a plea for the possibility of tariff exemptions for most of Africa, since this is where the largest number of least developed countries are found, 32 of the 44 least developed countries are in Africa. I have a message for the continent itself. This message is the need for more self-reliance.
Well, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, has advised government to halt its takeover of the Damang mine of Goldfields Limited, which is expected to begin tomorrow, April 18. In a press conference, the energy policy think tank described the government's decision as hasty and advised government to be circumspect with its decision since it discourages prospective investors and saddle the country with financial loss. Here is more.
At the press conference, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, expressed concerns about government's inability to exhaust all dialogue channels. The Executive Secretary of ASEP, Ben Boache, questioned why government is in such a haste to take over the Abosu Goldfields Limited starting tomorrow, April 18, 2025.
We had hoped that the communications between the government and the company will be maintained for a little longer to explore a possible compromise, whether that meant facilitating the company's exit or supporting its continued operation.
He detailed why ASEP believes government's decision could result in future legal battles.
By examining the laws and the information before us, the decision of the government to take over the mine after April 18th, which is tomorrow, 2025, is premature. The law is unambiguous in this matter. Section 27 of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, as amended, states, and I'll quote expressly, subsection 1 states that where a dispute arises between a holder of a mineral right and the Republic, all efforts shall be made through mutual discussions and, if agreed, through alternative dispute resolution procedures to reach an amicable solution. What this provision is saying is that when the company indicates its right to seek for redress in court, the government shall stay its action until that dispute is resolved before further actions could be taken. That is not what we are seeing.
He concluded by calling for a halt to the planned takeover.
ASEP calls for a halt in the operations to expropriate the mine tomorrow, and the indication that tomorrow is not only Christ that will be crucified, but the mining industry risks crucifixion as well. The government needs to exercise restraint, renew dialogue, and pursue a legally guided resolution that protects the interests of both the state and the investors.
Government has come under scrutiny for its decision not to renew the lease of some concessions under Goldfields Limited. While government insists it is working in the interest of the country, many experts believe extensive dialogue could save the country from future legal battles.
Tracking how that goes tomorrow at the Damang site. Now, away from that, the Ghana Institution of Engineering and Engineering Council have announced plans to remove unlicensed engineering practitioners from the industry starting in July 2025. According to the president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, Engineer Ludwig Annan Hesse, this initiative aims to clean up and professionalize the engineering sector.
When you do some of these things, you provide opportunity to retain more water and minimize the risk of flooding.
Is the institution going to embark on any distress action to that effect?
Yes, there's an Engineering Council Act 819 of 2011, and that sets up the Engineering Council to regulate the practice of engineering. That same law provides that the Ghana Institution of Engineering, as a licensed body, will register the engineers or the engineering practitioners for licensing by the Engineering Council. So we've been doing that for the past few years, and we've sent some people on, and they are being licensed. Unfortunately, there are a lot more people practicing engineering in this country who are not our members, and they are not been licensed to operate by the Engineering Council. So that is a problem. And I can assure you that a lot of these people are working in government agencies. If you go to the assemblies, there are several people there. There's engineers working there. Are they all registered and licensed members of license to practice engineering in Ghana? And are they annually, just like the lawyers do, just like the doctors do, updating their licenses annually so that they stay in the position to be able to practice in Ghana? I would say no. And we are working with the Engineering Council. This morning I've spoken to the registrar of the Engineering Council, and in July they plan to start a nationwide campaign to weed out unlicensed practitioners and get them to comply with the law. And we want to urge all the arms of government, central government, local government, to ensure that the engineers or the engineering practitioners, not only, when we say engineers, we have 4 levels of engineering practitioners. We have the professional engineers, we have the professional engineering technologists, we have the engineering.
There are growing calls for private sector players to support the government in bridging the gap between industry and academia. Executive Chairman of the National Academy of Students Achievement Awards Ghana, Rafif Yakub Abubakar, emphasized that such collaboration will empower young people to showcase strong leadership and management skills in entrepreneurship, ultimately driving job creation. He made these remarks in an interview with Joy Business during the 5th anniversary celebration and investiture of the Board of Trustees ceremony.
We want to train students in Ghana such that after school they know they are not only to expect opportunities from people, hence they can also create their own opportunities and also be prepared for opportunities that are waiting for them. And the objective has been that we want to bridge the gap between industry and academia, which of course we train the students on employability skills, entrepreneurship, and then we process them for internship. The internship is the practical place where they can have the skill and add it to what they've learned from their classroom, so that it will prepare them for the job market. And then we also have the craft high. The craft high is such that it doesn't matter the program you're studying in the school, from secondary school to university, we want to give you a sellable skill, which includes the beauty, and then cosmetology, makeup, jewelry making, beads making, and that industrial skill base that the students really need. So you can't be reading business administration, political science, but we give you this alternative training, so you have multiple career choices.
Well, owners of at least 150 shops in parts of the Kumasi metropolis have been left stranded after their facilities were locked up by the Ghana Revenue Authority over unpaid taxes. The Asante New Town Taxpayers Service Center, as part of ongoing tax compliance measures, placed shops of the tax defaulters under new locks to have them honor their tax obligations. The GRA explains the affected owners failed to comply with their civic responsibility despite several notices and reminders to pay the outstanding amounts.
Shop owners at the airport runabout area, Asafo and Amakum, have since been left stranded after discovering additional padlocks on their facilities along with GRA notice embossed on their gates. The GRA in Ashanti is concerned with the reluctance of some individuals and businesses in the informal sector to honor payments of their taxes. According to the tax collector, the defaulters cited low sales and other challenges as reasons for not settling their debts, but some of the affected shop owners claim not to have been informed of the operation.
I don't
This morning when I came, they've locked up my shop. I asked who did and I was informed GRA. I don't know why they've locked it. They should have informed us.
They should have informed me earlier, but now they have closed the shop. How do I get money to settle the debt?
Chief Revenue Officer and Compliance Unit Head at the Ashanti Newtown Taxpayer Service Center, Henry Prince Jan, insists a prior notice was sent to the shop owners before carrying out the exercise. He confirmed that the office has mobilized at least 200,000 cedis after some affected shop owners settled their arrears to have their shops reopened.
We've earlier served them invitation letters. There are some who have received invitation letters. They don't come. Others have been served notice of tax due, assessment, notice of assessment, and demand notices. So to go out to tell them today we are come to lock you, no military officer will tell you today I'm come to attack you. So we have to attack them unaware. But this week we've made announcements that they should come and file their return, but we did not inform them that we are coming to lock them. Then this month is the good governance month, where every taxpayer must file his annual returns. But this is the last month. So failure to file by 30th of this month, penalty generates next month. So we are encouraging them to file, make the payments per the quarter.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bratsquiku.
And that's all for Prime Business today. There's more on myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Samuel Kojo Brish. Thanks for staying tuned. Up next is Prime Sports. Stay on.